Captain John Bennett rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the main screen on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force vessel Resilient *. The ship had been patrolling the Arcturus system for 3 weeks now. The mission was supposed to be routine. Fly through the system, check for any unusual activity, then head home. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Amy Powell. Her fingers moved quickly across her tactical station. Long-range scanners show multiple objects approaching from Sector 7. Bennett stood up from his chair. "How many objects are we talking about, Lieutenant?" Powell's face paled as she looked up from her screen. "Sir, I'm counting over 1,000 vessels. They're in formation." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. 1,000 ships. No human fleet had ever assembled more than 50 ships in one place. "Put it on the main screen," Bennett ordered. The large display at the front of the bridge showed a sea of ships moving together like a swarm of insects. They were sleek, with sharp angles that reminded Bennett of arrowheads aimed directly at them. "Computer analysis confirms they're Zexari warships," Powell said. Her voice was steady, but Bennett could see the worry in her eyes. Everyone on the bridge knew about the Zexari, an aggressive alien species that had been expanding their territory by conquering any world that stood in their way. "What's their course?" Bennett asked. Navigation Officer Lisa Yang checked her instruments. "They're headed directly for Arcturus IV, sir. At their current speed, they'll reach the colony in under 16 hours. Bennett felt his stomach drop. Arcturus IV was home to 50,000 human settlers, families who had moved to the edge of human space to build new lives. The colony had minimal defenses, just enough to handle small pirate raids. Against a Zexari war fleet, they would have no chance. "Sir, I'm intercepting communications between their ships," said Communications Officer Greg Martinez. He adjusted his earpiece. "They're speaking in standard Zexari, but I can translate." He listened for a moment, his expression growing darker. "Captain, they're planning to attack the colony as a show of force. They want to make an example of Arcturus IV before demanding Earth's surrender." "We need to warn Earth Command immediately," Powell said. "Request reinforcements." Bennett shook his head slowly. Even at maximum speed, the nearest battle group couldn't get here for at least 3 days. He looked around at his crew. By then, everyone on Arcturus IV will be dead. The bridge fell silent again. The Resilient was a medium-class destroyer with a crew of 320. It was a good ship with some of the newest technology Earth had developed, but it was just one ship against 1,000. "What are your orders, sir?" asked Powell. Bennett took a deep breath. He thought about the families on Arcturus IV. Children who would never grow up, parents who would never see their children again. He thought about Earth, unprepared for the threat heading their way. "Lieutenant Powell, bring all weapons systems online. Officer Yang, plot an intercept course with the Zexari fleet. Officer Martinez, send a message to the colony. Tell them to activate all defenses and begin emergency preparations. Then send a priority message to Earth Command with all the data we've collected on the Zexari fleet." "Sir," Powell said, her voice low, "are we engaging the enemy?" Bennett nodded. "We're the only thing standing between that fleet and 50,000 innocent people. If we can delay them, even for a few hours, we give the colony a chance to prepare and get some people to safety." "Against 1,000 ships?" Martins asked. "That's impossible." Bennett finished for him. "Maybe, but we're going to do it anyway." He sat back down in his captain's chair. "This is what we signed up for. To protect humanity, no matter the cost." As the Resilient changed course to intercept the massive alien fleet, Bennett felt a strange calm settle over him. The odds were beyond impossible, but sometimes that's when humans performed their greatest feats. The bridge crew of the Resilient worked quickly. Each person moved with purpose, preparing the ship for what might be their final battle. "I need options," Captain Bennett said. He turned to Chief Engineer Samantha Miller, who had just arrived on the bridge. Miller was short with dark hair, always pulled back in a tight ponytail. She had grease stains on her uniform from working in the engine room. "Captain, the Resilient isn't just any ship," she said. "We're carrying experimental tech that's never been used in real combat." "Tell me what we've got," Bennett said. Miller brought up a diagram on the main screen. "Our fusion reactor is the newest model, capable of 30% more power than anything else in the fleet. We also have the adaptive shielding system that can reconfigure based on enemy attack patterns." She paused, then added, "And we have the quantum disruption array." Several crew members looked up at the mention of the QDA. It was a classified weapon that the Resilient had been testing when they encountered the Zexari. "Will it work against 1,000 ships?" Bennett asked. Miller shook her head. "It was designed to target one ship at a time, and it drains so much power we might only get 1 or 2 shots." Science Officer Peter Collins stepped forward. He was tall and thin with glasses that he constantly pushed back up his nose. "Captain, I've been studying what we know about Zexari technology. Their ships use a hive mind tactical system. They're all connected, sharing information instantly." "Is that a weakness we can exploit?" Powell asked. "Maybe," Collins said. "If we could disrupt their communication network, it might confuse their coordination." Navigation Officer Yang had been studying the star maps. "Sir, there's a dense asteroid field near our position. If we can lead them there, it might limit how many ships can attack us at once." Bennett nodded, considering their options. None of them were good, but together they might give the Resilient a fighting chance. Medical Officer Richard Davis spoke up from the back of the bridge. "I've prepared sickbay for casualties, Captain, but I want to be clear. We don't have the resources for a prolonged engagement." Everyone fell silent. They all knew what Davis was saying. If they fought, people would die. The ship's artificial intelligence, Athena, spoke through the ship's communication system. "Captain Bennett, I have completed my analysis. Based on current data, the Resilience survival probability is calculated at 0.034%. Bennett looked around at his crew. These were good people. The best Earth had to offer. They deserved better than a suicide mission. "I won't order anyone to certain death," Bennett said. "Any crew member who wishes to take an escape pod to warn Earth Command may do so without dishonor. No one will think less of you." The bridge was completely quiet. No one moved toward the exit. Lieutenant Powell stood straighter. "Sir, with all due respect, we all knew the risks when we joined Earth Defense. I'm staying." "Same here," Miller said. "Someone needs to keep this ship running." One by one, every person on the bridge confirmed they would stay. Bennett felt a swell of pride. This was humanity at its best, standing firm in the face of impossible odds. "Athena," Bennett said to the ship's AI, "recalculate our odds of victory, but this time factor in the human element." "I don't understand, Captain," the AI replied. "Human biological variables are already accounted for in my calculations." Bennett smiled slightly. "No, Athena. I mean factor in human stubbornness, creativity, and our unwillingness to accept defeat. Those are not quantifiable metrics, Captain," Athena said. "Exactly," Bennett replied. "And that's why the Zexari are going to be surprised." He turned back to his crew. "Set a course to intercept the Zexari fleet. It's time to show them what one human ship can do." The Resilient turned and accelerated toward the incoming alien armada, its crew ready to make history, or die trying. The Resilient moved steadily toward the front line of the Zexari fleet. On the bridge, the crew watched as the distance between them and the alien armada grew smaller. "We're being scanned," Lieutenant Powell reported. "Their lead ships have detected us." Captain Bennett straightened his uniform. "Officer Martinez, open a communication channel to their fleet." Martinez worked at his station. "Channel open, sir." This is Captain John Bennett of the Earth Defense Force vessel Resilient *. I request to speak with your commander. For a few moments, there was no response. Then the main screen flickered and changed to show an alien figure. The Zexari commander had a body like a large mantis with multiple compound eyes that shimmered in different colors. Its exoskeleton was dark green with red markings that likely indicated rank. "I am Supreme Lord Krazoth of the Zexari Empire," the alien said in a clicking, mechanical voice that the ship's computer translated. "You are either brave or foolish to approach us, human. One ship against our fleet." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Move aside or be destroyed." Bennett stood tall. "We know you plan to attack the human colony on Arcturus IV. We cannot allow that." "Cannot allow." Krazoth clicked his mandibles together. "Your colony will be the first of many to fall. After we destroy it, your Earth will surrender to save itself from the same fate." While the conversation continued, Communications Officer Martinez subtly signaled to Security Chief Alan Jackson. They had planned this distraction. While Bennett kept the Zexari commander talking, Martinez was analyzing their transmission protocols, and Jackson was identifying patterns in their fleet formation. Bennett took a deep breath. What he was about to propose was risky, but it might buy them time. "Supreme Lord Krazoth, by the intergalactic rules of engagement, I invoke the right of single combat. One ship against your flagship. If we win, you retreat." The bridge crew looked at Bennett in surprise. The Zexari commander's compound eyes seemed to widen. "You wish to challenge my flagship with your tiny vessel?" Krazoth made that strange laughing sound again. "This will be amusing to my warriors before our main attack. Do you accept the challenge?" Bennett pressed. Krazoth considered for a moment. "I accept. It will serve as an excellent demonstration of Zexari power. Prepare to face the inevitable conquest *. The screen went dark. "Sir," Powell said quietly, "their flagship is 20 times our size." Bennett nodded. "I know. But we needed time, and now we have it." He turned to Martinez and Jackson. "What did you find?" Martinez looked up from his station. "Their communications use a quantum frequency that's synchronized across their entire fleet. It's more integrated than anything we've seen before." "It's not just their communications," Jackson added. "Their entire combat system seems to operate on the same frequency. They function almost like a single organism." Science Officer Collins hurried over. "That matches what we know about Zexari biology. Their species evolved from hive-minded insects. They think collectively." "And what happens to an insect colony when you remove the queen?" Bennett asked. Collins blinked. "Chaos. Without central coordination, they can't function effectively." A plan was forming in Bennett's mind. "Chief Miller, could the quantum disruption array target a specific frequency?" Miller thought for a moment. "Theoretically, yes. It would take some reconfiguring, but it's possible." "Get to work on it," Bennett ordered. "The rest of you, prepare for combat. We may only get one shot at this." Through the viewport, they could see the massive shape of the Zexari flagship moving toward them. It was enormous, with multiple weapon arrays and what looked like hundreds of fighter bays. "They think this is going to be a simple execution," Bennett said. "Let's show them how dangerous one human ship can be." The Resilient moved forward to meet the Zexari flagship, looking tiny and fragile against the alien behemoth. But inside the human vessel, a plan was taking shape that might just change the course of the battle. The Resilient faced the massive Zexari flagship across the empty space. The alien vessel was huge, its surface covered with weapons and strange patterns that glowed with an eerie green light. "All hands, battle stations," Captain Bennett ordered. The alarm sounded throughout the ship as everyone prepared for combat. "Weapons ready, sir," Lieutenant Powell reported from her tactical station. Her face was calm, but her knuckles were white as she gripped her console. "Begin the attack pattern we discussed," Bennett said. Let's show them something they've never seen before. Powell nodded and entered commands into her console. The resilient suddenly shot forward, then veered sharply to the left in a maneuver that no alien ship could predict. What are they doing? Supreme Lord Krazoth demanded from his command center on the Zexari flagship. His officers clicked their mandibles in confusion. The human ship was moving in ways that made no sense to their tactical computers. On the resilient Chief Engineer Miller was pushing the experimental engines beyond their tested limits. "The reactor is running hot, Captain," she reported over the comm system. "But she'll hold for now." The human ship darted around the much larger Zexari vessel, firing precise shots at key points on its hull. Each blast from the Resilience guns was carefully aimed at spots that Science Officer Collins had identified as potential weak points. "They're hitting our secondary shield generators," a Zexari officer reported to Krazoth. "Minimal damage, but their targeting is surprisingly accurate." Krazoth clicked in anger. "Return fire. Show these humans what real weapons can do." The Zexari flagship fired its main weapons array. Massive energy beams cut through space toward the resilient Evasive maneuvers. Bennett shouted. The ship turned hard, but couldn't completely avoid the blasts. The resilient shook violently as energy washed over its shields. "Shields at 60%, Powell reported. That was just one hit from their main weapons. Bennett knew they couldn't win a direct firefight. But winning wasn't the objective. Not yet. Continue the attack pattern. Focus on learning their response times. The resilient spun and dove, executing a modified version of a maneuver that Earth pilots called the Crazy Ivan. The sudden, unpredictable movements confused the Zexari targeting systems, which were designed to predict logical, efficient enemy actions. "Sir," Powell said, "their weapons have a 3-second targeting delay when we change direction rapidly." "Good work," Bennett replied. "Exploit that weakness." For several minutes, the battle continued. The resilient landed several more hits on the Zexari flagship, causing minor damage. But the alien vessel was simply too large and too powerful. Each time it managed to hit the human ship, the damage was significant. "Shields at 30%, Powell reported after a particularly heavy hit. "Standard defensive systems are failing." Bennett knew it was time for the next phase. "Miller, what's the status of the quantum disruption array?" "It's ready, Captain," Miller replied. "But we haven't finished the modifications to target their specific frequency. It will affect them, but not as precisely as we'd like." "We don't have a choice," Bennett said as the ship rocked from another hit. "Target their command center and fire." The resilient turned to face the Zexari flagship head-on. A new weapon port opened on the human ship's hull. Energy built up, glowing with an intense blue light. "What is that?" Krazoth demanded, seeing the energy buildup on his view screen. The resilient fired the quantum disruption array. A beam of swirling blue-white energy shot toward the Zexari flagship. When it hit, there was no explosion, no visible damage. Instead, the energy seemed to wash over the alien ship like water. But inside the Zexari vessel, chaos erupted. Control panels flickered. Officers lost connection to the hive mind coordination system. "Something is wrong," Krazoth said, his voice no longer confident. "What have they done to us?" On the resilient Bennett watched the effects. "It worked," he said, "but not completely." He turned to his crew. "Now we know how to beat them. We just need to perfect the weapon." The resilient pulled back from the Zexari flagship, using a burst of speed to create some distance. Inside the human ship, the bridge was filled with smoke from damaged systems. Emergency lights flashed red, and crew members worked quickly to repair what they could. "Damage report," Captain Bennett called out, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. "We've lost our main shield generator," Powell reported. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5, but emergency force fields are holding. Weapons are at 40% capacity. The ship creaked and groaned around them. It had taken a beating, but it was still fighting. "And the quantum disruption array?" Bennett asked. Chief Engineer Miller's voice came through the comm system. "The first shot drained it completely, Captain. We're working to bring it back online, but it will take time." Science Officer Collins was studying his readings carefully. "Captain, I've made an important discovery," he said. "The disruption effect wasn't complete, but it revealed something about their ship's systems." He brought up a display showing energy readings from the Zexari flagship. All their ships operate on the same quantum frequency. It's like they're all part of the same organism. If we could target that specific frequency with the quantum disruption array, we could disrupt their entire fleet at once, Bennett finished. "Not just the flagship." Collins nodded. "Exactly." Hope flickered across the tired faces of the bridge crew. But their moment of optimism was interrupted by Martinez at the communication station. "Sir, the Zexari flagship is hailing us," he reported. "On screen," Bennett ordered. Supreme Lord Krazoth appeared, his compound eyes flickering with anger. "You have used a dishonorable weapon against us, human," he said. "It will not save you." Bennett stood tall despite his exhaustion. "We agreed to single combat, and we're still fighting." "The combat is over," Krazoth declared. "You have lost." He turned to someone off-screen and gave an order. "Bring in the support ships. Destroy the human vessel." The screen went blank. Moments later, Powell's console beeped urgently. "Sir, 10 additional Zexari ships are breaking from the main fleet and heading our way." Bennett's jaw tightened. So much for honor. He looked around at his crew. They'd broken the terms of single combat. That means we're no longer bound by them either. He turned to Navigation Officer Yang. "Set a course for the asteroid field we identified earlier." "Yes, sir," Yang replied, her fingers flying over her controls. Bennett activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. The Zexari have called in reinforcements against us. They think this means they've won." He paused. "They're wrong. We now have the information we need to fight back against their entire fleet. But first, we need to survive long enough to use it." In engineering, Chief Miller heard the captain's words and turned to her team. "You heard him. We need to reconfigure the quantum disruption array to target the specific frequency Collins identified." A young engineer looked up from a damaged panel. "That could overload the entire system. We might only get one shot." Miller nodded grimly. "Then we better make it count." Back on the bridge, Bennett watched as the Resilient Asterisk raced toward the asteroid field with 11 Zexari ships in pursuit. "Sir," Powell said quietly, "even if we can modify the weapon, how do we get close enough to use it? We're badly damaged, and they know what we're capable of now." Bennett's eyes narrowed as he watched the approaching asteroid field on the main screen. "We make them think they've won. We let them believe they've cornered us, and then we spring our trap." The Resilient Asterisk entered the asteroid field, its smaller size allowing it to navigate the dense collection of space rocks. The pursuing Zexari ships had to slow down to follow. "Let the hunt begin," Bennett said softly. "They think they're chasing wounded prey. They don't realize they're following a predator." The Resilient Asterisk weaved through the asteroid field like a fish swimming through a rocky stream. Navigation Officer Yang's hands moved across her controls with amazing skill, guiding the ship between massive space rocks that could crush them instantly. "The Zexari ships are still following us," Lieutenant Powell reported. "They're having trouble with the asteroids. Their ships are too big to maneuver easily here." Captain Bennett nodded. That was exactly what he had hoped for. "How many have entered the field?" "All 11, sir," Powell replied. "They're spreading out, trying to trap us." Bennett allowed himself a small smile. "They're doing exactly what we want. Keep leading them deeper." The plan was working. The asteroid field formed a natural bottleneck where the rocks grew more densely packed. The Zexari ships had to follow a specific path, which meant they would eventually bunch together, creating a perfect target. In engineering, Chief Miller and her team worked frantically to modify the quantum disruption array. Parts from other systems were scavenged to rebuild the weapon. Engineers crawled through tight spaces, connecting cables and rewriting the weapon's targeting systems. "We need more power," Miller said, wiping sweat from her face. "The reactor is already at its limit." A young engineer named Bill Cooper looked up from his work. "What if we redirect power from life support?" "Not all of it, just enough to give us one big burst." Miller hesitated. It was dangerous. With reduced life support, the temperature on the ship would drop quickly and oxygen would become thin. But they didn't have many options. "Do it," she decided. "We only need it for a few minutes." Throughout the ship, the lights dimmed as power was redirected to the weapon systems. The air grew colder. Crew members could see their breath forming small clouds. On the bridge, Bennett received Miller's report. "Captain, we've got the array modified to target their specific quantum frequency, but we have a problem. We've lost main power. The weapon can be fired once, maybe twice if we're lucky, before it burns out completely." Bennett understood what that meant. They would have one chance to get this right. "All hands, prepare for our final move," he ordered through the ship-wide comm. "We're going to turn and fight." The resilient asterisk continued deeper into the asteroid field, with the Zexari ships following closely behind. Yang guided them to a position they had identified earlier, a clearing surrounded by dense clusters of asteroids. A natural arena for their last stand. "Sir," Powell said, "the Zexari ships are all within the target zone." Bennett straightened in his chair. "Turn us around, Lieutenant Yang. Bring all remaining weapons to bear." The resilient asterisk, spun around to face its pursuers. The pursuing Zexari ships, surprised by the sudden change, scrambled to bring their weapons online. "They're confused," Powell said. "Our readings show they're having trouble coordinating their attack." "That's what happens when you rely too much on a hive mind," Bennett said. "When the unexpected occurs, they don't know how to react as individuals." The temperature on the bridge continued to drop. Some crew members were shivering, but no one complained. They all knew what was at stake. "Chief Miller, status of the quantum disruption array?" Bennett asked. "Ready, Captain," Miller replied. "All power is diverted to the weapon. Life support is at minimal levels. We have about 5 minutes before the system fails." Bennett nodded. "Target the lead Zexari ship and prepare to fire." The resilient asterisk faced the 11 Zexari ships. Behind them, the rest of the massive alien fleet was visible as tiny dots of light, waiting for their advanced ships to finish off the lone human vessel. "They think they have us cornered," Bennett said to his crew. "Let's show them what happens when you cornered humans." Powell's hand hovered over the firing control. "Quantum disruption array locked on target, sir." Bennett took a deep breath of the increasingly thin air. "Fire." The modified quantum disruption array fired a beam of swirling blue-white energy from the resilient asterisk. It hit the lead Zexari ship dead center. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the energy rippled outward, jumping from the first ship to the next, and then the next, spreading through all 11 vessels like lightning across water. On the bridge of the resilient asterisk, the crew watched in amazement. "It's working," Science Officer Collins said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The quantum link between their ships is carrying our disruption signal through their entire fleet." The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Zexari ships began to drift, their lights flickering. Some fired weapons at random, hitting nothing but empty space or nearby asteroids. 2 of the ships actually fired on each other, their targeting systems completely confused. "The effect is spreading beyond the ships in the asteroid field," Lieutenant Powell reported, studying her tactical display. "It's jumping to the main fleet. Their entire communication network is collapsing." Captain Bennett could hardly believe what he was seeing. "Collins, explain what's happening." Collins studied his readings with wide eyes. "Their ships are so deeply connected that they can't function independently. When we disrupted one, it cascaded through their quantum communication network. It's like—" He searched for a simple way to explain it. "It's like we gave their entire fleet a massive headache. They can't think clearly or coordinate their actions." Through the main view screen, they could see the distant Zexari fleet falling into disarray. Ships moved in random patterns, some colliding with each other. The formation that had once been so perfect was now breaking apart. Communications Officer Martinez listened intently to his earpiece. "Sir, I'm picking up hundreds of distress signals from their fleet. They're completely confused. Some ships are reporting that they're under attack from their own side." Bennett knew this was their chance, but the Resilient Asterisk was in no condition to press the attack alone. Their weapon had worked better than they had hoped, but they were still just one ship against hundreds. "How long before the Zexari recover?" Bennett asked Collins. "Hard to say," Collins replied. "Hours, maybe a day. Their system was never designed to handle this kind of disruption." Bennett made a decision. "Lieutenant Powell, target the nearest Zexari command ship with our conventional weapons. Let's do as much damage as we can while they're confused." The Resilient Asterisk fired its remaining weapons at the drifting Zexari vessels. Each shot was carefully placed to cause maximum damage. Two of the alien ships exploded, their internal systems critically damaged. "Sir," Martinez called out, "I'm receiving a transmission from Arcturus IV. The colony's defense forces are launching." Bennett turned to him in surprise. "They're what?" "The colony has armed their mining vessels and older defense ships," Martinez explained. "They're moving to attack the Zexari fleet while it's vulnerable." On the tactical display, they could see small dots representing the colony's ships moving toward the disorganized Zexari fleet. There weren't many of them, perhaps 30 vessels in total, but they were targeting the confused alien ships with precision. "Let's join them," Bennett ordered. "Navigation, get us out of this asteroid field." Yang plotted a course out of the asteroids. The Resilient Asterisk moved slowly, its engines struggling after the massive energy drain from the quantum disruption array. As they emerged from the asteroid field, they saw the full extent of the chaos they had caused. The once mighty Zexari fleet was in complete disarray. Ships fired randomly, some drifting out of control, others actually attacking their own allies. The colony's small force of ships was picking off the confused aliens one by one. Each victory seemed to embolden the colonists, their attacks growing more coordinated. "Sir," Powell said with a smile, "I think we might actually win this." Bennett watched as another Zexari ship exploded under the combined fire of 3 mining vessels. "Send a message to the colony ships," he ordered. "Tell them to focus on the command vessels. If we can take those out, the rest of the fleet will have no leadership at all." The Resilient Asterisk joined the fight, its remaining weapons targeting the larger Zexari command ships. The human vessels, though outnumbered and outgunned, were now hunting the aliens through their own broken formation. 3 days later, Captain Bennett stood on the observation deck of the Resilient Asterisk. The ship was docked at the Arcturus IV space station for emergency repairs. Through the large window, he could see the debris field that had once been the mighty Zexari fleet. The battle had ended in a way no one could have predicted. After the initial confusion caused by the quantum disruption array, the Zexari ships had turned on each other. Some tried to flee, only to crash into their allies. Others fired wildly at anything that moved. By the time the effect began to wear off, nearly 300 Zexari vessels had been destroyed or disabled, many by friendly fire. Supreme Lord Krazoth's flagship had been among the casualties. A group of mining ships, guided by the Resilience tactical data, had targeted its main power core. The resulting explosion had taken out several nearby Zexari vessels as well. The remaining alien ships had fled, jumping away to some unknown part of space. The threat to Arcturus IV was over. Lieutenant Powell entered the observation deck and stood beside Bennett. "Sir, Earth Command just arrived. They brought 3 battle groups, ready for a full-scale invasion." She smiled slightly. "They seem disappointed they missed the fight." Bennett nodded. "Better late than never, I suppose." "The medical team reports that all our crew will recover," Powell continued. 12 dead, 97 injured. It could have been much worse. Bennett felt each loss deeply, but he knew they had saved countless lives. "What about the ship?" "Chief Miller says the resilient asterisk can be repaired, but it will take months. The quantum disruption array is completely burned out, though. She says we fried every circuit when we modified it to target the entire fleet." Bennett wasn't surprised. They had pushed the experimental weapon far beyond its designed limits. "Sir," Powell said, her voice growing softer, "word of what we did is spreading across the galaxy. The Zexeri Empire is facing rebellions on 3 of their conquered worlds. Species they've dominated for years are rising up now that they know the Zexeri can be defeated." Bennett hadn't expected that. One battle changed that much. "1 ship," Powell corrected him. "The story being told is that a single human ship took on 1,000 alien vessels and won. Whether it's entirely accurate doesn't seem to matter. The story has taken on a life of its own." A small delegation approached them from across the deck. It included the colony governor and several officials from Earth Command. "Captain Bennett," the governor said, extending his hand. "On behalf of everyone on Arcturus IV, I want to thank you and your crew. Without your actions, our colony would have been destroyed." Bennett shook the offered hand. "We did what any Earth Defense Force ship would have done, Governor." An admiral from Earth Command stepped forward. "That's not true, Captain, and you know it. What you and your crew accomplished was extraordinary. The data you gathered on Zexeri technology and tactics is invaluable. If they return, we'll be ready for them." "And there's something else," the governor added. "We've received a message from the Galactic Council. They'd been monitoring the situation and were impressed by humanity's stand against the Zexeri. They've invited Earth to join as a full member." Bennett was stunned. The Galactic Council had previously dismissed humans as a minor species, not worth their attention. "It seems your actions changed more than just the outcome of one battle," the admiral said. "You've changed humanity's place in the galaxy." As the officials moved away to discuss details, Bennett turned back to the window. Beyond the debris of the Zexeri fleet, he could see the stars stretching out to infinity. "We just did our job," he said quietly to Powell. "We protected our people." Powell smiled and showed the galaxy what one human ship can do when pushed to its limits. She looked out at the stars. "I have a feeling this is just the beginning of humanity's story out there." Bennett nodded. Against impossible odds, they had prevailed. It wasn't superior technology or firepower that had won the day. It was human ingenuity, adaptability, and determination. And now the entire galaxy would know it.